agency eve Tuesday night to you, everybody. Welcome into the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Casey. Below Mr. Nick Carnes. We are on our own. We're flying solo.
Free!
And we are not brought to you by anybody but our own mothers.
Selves.
Brought to you by
Moms.
gentlemen. How are we doing on this day 2 of legal tampering?
I'm eating dubs, buddy. That's what's going on. I'm eating all the dubs. AB went out and knocked out my defensive line wish list already. Like I'm doing pretty damn good. How you guys doing?
You know what? I've seen some negative reactions so far, but I'll tell you what. I was looking at where we're at right now. Browns brought an awful lot of members of a damn good defense from last year back. I'm feeling good about that, man. I'm excited. I like it. And here we are. You got two handsome people right here. We're off on our new venture. And so for everybody, I want to say too, we already have, I think, like 30 subscribers, and we just made this YouTube channel. Like, for anybody that clicked that button already, it means the world to us. We are here. I promise you, the three of us, this is a fit right here, this triangle. And we're going to bring you all kinds of fun stuff. We were just talking pre-show about a couple plans we have. So if you're here with us, that just like went right over my head.
Mock Draft Friday.
Mock Draft Friday. Exactly. Right. But if you're here with us right now, click that little red button, because this is the new home of the Barking Brown Show. We're going to be here. You're going to be here. It's going to be great.
Or follow us on our Twitter, our Twitters and YouTube.
New Twitter.
At the top, at Barking Browns 24 on Twitter, at the Barking Browns on YouTube, if you want to check that out. Also, the YouTube home of the Draft Film Room podcast.
Oh, yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we have got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go off the top and just go through the free agency tracker for the Browns for the first 2 days. I'm going to go through every move that has affected the Browns, that is who the Browns have signed and who of theirs have signed away, and then we will start probably with backup quarterback, because that's what people want to talk about. By the way, send your comments away in the Twitter, on the Twitter sphere and stuff. All right. So we're going to start from the top. Obviously, we did an episode here on the it's on audio only. It's not on our YouTube. But if you go on Spotify or Apple, you'll be able to see, listen to the Jerry Jeudy instant reaction. That was on Saturday night. We talked for about a half hour on that. So you can go and check that out. Zadarius Smith returns to Cleveland, 2-year, $23.5 million deal. I think that's a hell of a contract for the Browns to have gotten him one. I thought it was going to be a higher thing, and I thought it would have only been 1 year as a result. End up getting him 2 years, 23.5. I thought that was fantastic. Special team ace Mike Ford heads to the Texans. He won't be back in Cleveland next year. Maurice Hurst, the belly rub, is not going anywhere. The belly rub re-ups for 1 year. Huge for the Browns. Over 14% pass rush win rate for Maurice Hurst in Cleveland last year. Anthony Walker's no longer with the Browns. He'll head to Miami. They add Jordan Hicks, the Vikings linebacker. They add him on a 2-year deal. 2 years, up $8 million. That was a really nice deal for them. Sione Takitaki heads to New England with Alex Van Pelt. That kind of hurt a little bit. I like Taki a lot. The Browns signed Sam Kamara signed his exclusive rights tender. Jameis Winston is your new backup quarterback. We'll have a conversation about that here in a second. Naheem Hines, the running back kick returner who had some time with Ken Dorsey, as well as a lot of success with Bubba Ventrone in Indy, joins. He did not play last year. A jet ski accident tore his ACL, if you're wondering about that. Michael Dunn, the offensive lineman we just can't quit. I love it. Michael Dunn resigns in Cleveland. Shelby Harris resigns in Cleveland. And they add Hakeem Adenaji, swing tackle. They're clearly trying to get rid of James Hudson. And Jordan Elliott heads to San Francisco. Casey, where do you want to start?
God, I'm going to start with the defensive line. I wasn't sure they'd be able to bring Za'Darius back. That is a huge win. That is massive to get Za'Darius back, because now you're kind of shored up. I figured the defensive tackle would work like this. Mo's the priority because of what he does. You can get a run-stuffing defensive tackle. It's harder to get a pass-rushing interior defensive lineman. It just is. So you shore him up 1 year, still kind of a prove-it deal because he got hurt, although he was highly effective when he was healthy. Then I figured they would offer Shelby Harris. I didn't expect Shelby to take it quickly. I expected if he was going to bulk, they might turn to Jordan Elliott. But I think what we've seen here is, because I was the same thing for Za'Darius, I did not think there was a chance in hell that he would sign early in the process. I figured they'd give him the offer, he would mull it over, look what the market says. These dudes want to be here, man. I think this is proof positive. Like these are guys that usually chill. Shelby Harris chills. He had offers last year. He didn't sign. These guys know the room they're going to be in. They know the defense, the scheme, the brotherhood, the guys they're in it with. They couldn't wait to get back to work. And now you're in a position where you can go BPA, like in the draft. You're not forced into like, well, we need to get an edge. Well, we need to get a receiver. Like they've made themselves fluid in this way to where like if someone falls, they could jump up or they could trade back. They're not locked into anything. And that's a beautiful thing. I also want to say this. They added 5 players for $34 million in free agency. That shit's hard to do. Free agency is the place where you go to overspend. You can look at each one of those things they did. You can't tell me one thing they overspent on. You know what I mean? They got value for what they got. And that happened early in free agency. Usually if you're going to get value, it's much later, like third or fourth wave. AB got it on the first wave, you know. So I'm tickled pink, man. Like I said, for what it is, not a lot of sexiness to it, but that isn't what this team needed. There's plenty of sex on this team. You know what I mean? They didn't need that. They needed to shore up some areas. They did it. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, so by my count, there's 4 Browns that have returned: Michael Dunn, Za'Darius Smith, Mo Hurst, and who am I missing?
Shelby.
And Shelby, right? So I like that a lot because I think it speaks to guys who came here because all of them, right, except for Dunn, aside from Dunn, were first-year Browns last year. So the 3 guys on defense, and all of them have returned, right? And so after having such a good year as a unit, as a defense, I think it speaks to that these guys came here. They said, we like it in Cleveland. We like what we're doing here. And suddenly you come back and you see, and I feel like I am no expert when it comes to the salaries that guys command. But if I'm not mistaken, Za'Darius Smith probably could have gotten a little more than he did. But,
I would have thought so, yes.
Right. So then all of a sudden you're looking at a dude that you traded 2 5th-round picks for that in return then is coming back for 2 more years and giving you a little bit of a discount. That I think that speaks to culture building and to the atmosphere that the Browns created and just to what we know. Like despite whatever narrative that people on the outside try to spin, the players are telling you that they want to be here. And they're telling you that they like what's going on in Cleveland. So, you know, to me, when I look at it and I say, okay, well, this is the defense that gave up the least yards per game in the NFL last year. And aside from Anthony Walker, now Taki, I know we'll get into who they lost, but aside from Anthony Walker, as far as starters go, you're bringing them all back like that. There's a lot of people that have been upset, and I say, like, of course you want to add more, but if you're starting from a place of one of the best defenses in the league, and you're bringing all those guys back, that's a good place to start, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I think just being able to retain talent in any way, shape, or form is not something this organization has been able to do consistently over the years. And you talked about it, Casey. Early in free agency, there's a lot of overpay. If you want to see how bad there's overpays, go look at the dudes that signed $20+ million annual salaries last year. Only a couple of them were worth it. in 2023. I was listening to the Locked On NFL Scouting podcast with Joe Marino and Kyle Krabs, and that's what they were talking about on Monday. They were going over some of those big contracts and did they work out in 2023? And obviously a lot of those contracts are multi-year deals, so we'll see where it goes from there. But it's really interesting because you go out there and you overpay. Houston has been one of the best teams here in free agency so far, but everyone else that has spent a lot in big money are bad teams. That's what it is. When you go out there, you got to drastic look at Washington. Is it Washington or who was it that signed a guard that I barely knew for like 20 mil or something? Was it
Carolina guard Robert Hunt from Miami?
That's what it was. Okay, it was Carolina. But, you're talking about some big money for a guy that's a good player, but is he that good of a player? Probably not, but you're Washington. Like, this is a good thing, that you don't go out there and Andrew Berry doesn't overspend. And you look at it and it's just like, okay, I will never blame a player for going out and getting as much money as he possibly can. Never. But Cleveland's got people. It's a desirable destination now. And they're telling you this by, like you said, Casey, Shelby Harris signed what, in July last year? And he had offers. He just had no interest in going anywhere. This year, he's like, nope, screw it. Multi-year deal. I'm staying. These guys that are these veterans, these high-priced, flashy veterans, Shelby Harris, Zadarius Smith, they're not back on one-year deals. They're back on multi-year deals. I know Mo Hurst is still in a one-year deal and stuff like that, but you're seeing all of the – I don't know, man. Like, I look at what has happened right now as we are a really good team, and our priority was keeping the players that made 2023 successful. Zadarius Smith, very impactful. Shelby Harris, great. Mo Hurst, very impactful in his role. Awesome. Michael Dunn, you can count on Michael Dunn to keep the ship afloat on the interior if he has to. Okay, get those guys back. Don't make your team worse in free agency, and then focus on attacking some things. So for me, I think the biggest move was getting Zadarius Smith back. For me, what has happened right now, the biggest move was retaining a true number 2 pass rusher opposite Myles Garrett. You went out there and you did that. You got that done. So for the first 2 days, the most impactful thing for me is Zadarius Smith, and just seeing this team be able to get guys on discounts and guys wanting to play here in these wanting to play here quickly. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, Zadarius, first day of free agency. I'm with you, Casey. I thought they would probably retain him, but it would probably be in right before the draft, right after the draft. I don't know. Because if you wait till after the draft, a lot of times your value can go up because now if a team didn't get an edge rusher and the draft's passed, you're starting to get a little desperate and you're like, oh shit, here you go. No, I'll take 2 years, 23 and a half, and I'll play opposite Myles Garrett and Jim Schwartz's scheme again. Shelby Harris, a grizzled veteran. I'm good. I'll stay here. Loved my role. Was impactful. Had a good time. Didn't have to play a shit ton of snaps. They did that with Mo Hurst too. It's like something I wrote up for Browns Wire when they did it with Mo Hurst. And I'm just like, being able to have rotational players that can give you 20 to 25 snaps a game so that nobody's playing 60 snaps at defensive tackle is why you can put games away in the fourth quarter. And I've thought, and we'll get into the new additions here in a second, I've just thought that what they have done has been very calculated, very impactful, and just smart business for what has happened in 2 days.
Something that I think is really important when you're in a position where your picks are limited. Of course, you can trade your picks to get proven players. But if Zadarius Smith had just been a 1-year rental, right, then you had shipped 2 5th-round picks for just 1 year. But instead, when you take your 2 picks and you trade them for Amari Cooper, he's been here for multiple years. Now you've taken your 2 picks and you traded them for Zadarius Smith, and he's been here for multiple years. And I think one of the biggest things you miss out on, aside from contract value, is just length of contract, right? So now that you look at it and you say, okay, well, both times you've made these types of trades now, and we'll see what happens with Judy, but you're getting longevity out of the guys that you're trading for. And I think that is so important and valuable when you don't have the full war chest of picks. So I love that. I love that. The more you guys both talk about how important Za'Darius Smith being back is, like the more it just makes my brain work and say, yes, that I think that's probably the most valuable addition that they've made so far.
Yeah, I think it is. You get a player that makes the impact that he makes. Yeah, I think it is. And I think it's smart. I know everybody wants us to talk about backup quarterback. I'm not going there yet. I'm not going there yet. I'm going to go there, but I'm not going there yet. Let me catch up. Okay, Josh, this comment is hilarious because I did see that Aaron Rodgers is Kennedy's like number one choice to run for as his vice president. Aaron Rodgers is so that's a conversation. All right,
a choice.
Tommy, it's a choice. They want to play for Schwartz. Yeah, I mean, they want to play in Cleveland, you know. It's like, MC, I'll get to your comments. I know you're talking about that. I know you're talking about the backup quarterback. I would like to sign, Diabate, some more thoughts on those. I love, we'll get to that. Josh, we'll come back to this comment because I want to talk about what has happened before we focus on what we would like to see happen moving forward. Okay. Right. Jordan Hicks. That's where I want to pivot to next. So we'll talk about Jordan Hicks coming over from the Vikings. One thing that jumps out to me when you're looking for, and he spent a lot of time as a Mike linebacker. I talked to Corey Kennan recently, and he had posted online having talked to some people from Minnesota. They believe he's likely at this point in his career, he'll be 32 this year, is probably more of a Sam backer. Kind of think of Jordan Hicks as probably Sione Takitaki's replacement as opposed to Anthony Walker's replacement. Now, in his career, he's played a ton of Mike linebacker. So if the Browns want him to play Mike linebacker, he can. 5 straight seasons of over 100 tackles. And if you go back to 2018, he had 91, so he wasn't too far off. He's a really good athlete. I think he's really rangy, moves well sideline to sideline. He's a thumper. He's a reliable tackler in the open field. And, you bring in a guy that was a team captain in Minnesota last year. So you talk about losing Anthony Walker's leadership. Well, this is a very, Jordan Hicks is a very well-respected player as well. His teammates elected him a team captain as well. And he's been there. He's done that. He's played in a total of 122 games. What's he got? 874 career tackles. That's a lot of tackles, man. Started his career in Philly at 2015. Not a blow you away superstar. You're not going to get a superstar for $8 million over the course of 2 years. But in terms of reliable, does his job, and would complement Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, that's what Jordan Hicks is. And for that, it's a B to me. You can't get an A unless you're a big time difference maker in terms of grading a signing. But this is a B to me. And I think there was a role that needed filled. And I think Hicks is an upgrade over Taki and Anthony Walker, depending on which place you want to put him.
Well, that's just it. Man played Mike every year. He was in a 4-3, including with Schwartz in Philadelphia. Gets shipped to Arizona. They run a 3-4. He's a right outside backer or right inside backer there. Same thing goes to Minnesota. They're a 3-4. He's still been inside, but 6'1", 236. That's the size prerequisite for Sam. That's Taki. It's about the same exact size.
Yep.
Over 100 tackles, 5 straight seasons. Great sounding board for JOK. Speaks Schwartz's language. It's going to be excellent in meeting rooms. I think even though that I think if you're in a 3-backer set, I think he probably will be your Sam. But I think when it's only 2 linebackers on the field, unless they sign someone else, he's your second backer on the field. It'd be him and JOK. And he can do coverage stuff. He's obviously you would rather have him coming downhill, staying between the tackles. When you think what the Browns have up front, because he's not a huge tackle for loss machine. I think if you look at his career, but those tackles, you don't make 800 and some tackles by accident.
He only got 47.
Hands in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
I think it's important that they brought in another guy that's been to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. We talked about that last year when they added Rodney McLeod and Juan Thornhill, and guys that just have been to the top. And I like the history with Jim Schwartz. And I just think it's one of those types of signings that you look at and you say, this is a guy that you know exactly what you're going to get. And it just makes a ton of sense to me. So I really like the addition, especially, it sucks to lose Anthony Walker. Well, I really liked Anthony Walker, but I think if you were going to go in a different direction, this is probably one that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I want to say that too. Like, I don't want to, just because I believe he's an upgrade, I don't want to talk bad about Anthony Walker. Walk was a tremendous leader. I think we can all agree athletically he wasn't what they needed him to be. I'm going to miss talk, man. I'm going to miss the physicality. Just realize this.
Yeah.
Baltimore just signed Derrick Henry. Do you know who you need to take on Patrick Ricard to at the point of attack? You need your Sam backer to cut the edge. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of dirty work, and that's what talk was about. It wasn't about stuff and stats. The man was doing all the dirty work. So it's he's going to be missed, but I believe you have an upgrade in Hicks. I do think there will be another move coming at linebacker. Not sure if it'll be for an inside or just for a young developmental, but I think there's another one coming.
Man, I'm just saying, if you move him down to basically your third linebacker and you get a guy like Jerome Baker, and you got Jerome Baker and JOK, and then your insurance is Jordan Hicks, I feel pretty good about that group. I mean, it's not the best linebacking trio in the NFL or anything like that, but
true story.
You're in a really good spot. They're there to do your job. I was not attempting to dump on Anthony Walker. I just think Hicks is a better athlete. That's all I'm saying. And for me, in this scheme and what they ask their linebackers to do, I just want a better athlete. That's where it is from. That's why I find it to be an upgrade.
2 years ago, I went to...
Listen, we will talk about this later, Christian. We have had the conversation about you coming on here. We're not doing it tonight, but we will do it. We will have the shotgunning of a Red Bull, I promise.
I've had myself some heart palpitations when mixing.
I had this conversation with him yesterday.
Your boy,
you did a bang though.
Yeah, that was
dude. You should have seen. Nick had what had you had, like several beers, and it was halftime of the Cade that Cade York wins on the big field goal. Yeah, Ghost is great. I love Ghost. It's fantastic.
Open for sponsorships, Ghost. Hit us up.
And somehow Christian convinced Nick at halftime to shotgun a bang. And he had several alcoholic beverages. Yeah, Andy did too.
So we both were feeling because Christian doesn't drink, full disclosure. So Andy and I are pretty inebriated at that point, and we're both like experiencing our hearts just not really know what to do. So that was an experience. But I just want to say, so 2 years ago, I went to the Browns-Dolphins game, and I flew out we ended up getting stranded in New York on Friday night for a plane that was supposed to be in Miami Friday night. But our connecting flight got delayed. So I didn't know it at the time, but I flew with someone there from Cleveland to New York. And once we got stranded, I got to talking to them. It was a member of Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker. I wanted to call him Jerome Baker, but I for whatever reason I hesitated. Anyway, it was a member of Jerome Baker's family. I got to chatting her up. She was really cool, and yeah, I didn't realize that there was that connection back then, right? But when people have been talking about it now, I put 2 and 2 together in my head, and it would be really cool if that ended up being another addition, because I feel like the linebacker room is just like one proven guy away from me saying like, okay, we are really cooking here.
Yeah. I think they're for what they want to do, and they don't put a ton of emphasis on linebacker. But the Jordan Hicks thing felt like a Jim Schwartz thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It felt like a Jim Schwartz thing to me. And if that's the case, I'm good with that. Bring it. Oh, Jared. Hey, Jared. I wanted to say hi to Jared.
What's up, Jared?
What's up, Jared?
I knew there was a comment there somewhere, and I couldn't find it. Drew is still in trouble for shaving his beard. I get it. I don't. If you guys haven't seen it, Drew did shave his beard. Go check it out on his Twitter. He did, and I'm sure he is in trouble because that was a majestic beard, and he does not have it anymore, and it made me sad. It made me very sad. I didn't tell him that, but it made me sad. I might have told him that. I don't know. All right, let's talk about quarterback. I delayed it 27 minutes. I did the best that I could. I was hoping, and I'm going to quickly switch over to my Twitter to see. I was hoping they would just sign somebody, and I didn't have to talk about it. Oh, no. Sean sending me. Oh. Do you still have me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have you. Yeah.
No. My computer was totally disconnected because I couldn't see any of my notifications, and I was like, "Oh, I'm out. I must have."
You can't break the brotherhood. Your computer being disconnected can't stop what we got going on right here.
Yeah, it's too strong.
Like,
the connection is too strong.
I was hoping there would be a notification on Twitter, and I would be able to avoid talking about quarterback. All right. So the Browns signed. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Sean said it's better than Ghost. He's a Mountain Dew Livewire guy. I like Livewire. The orange one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that. It's not bad.
That's a throwback.
I'm not a big
That's
Mountain
high school days.
That was high school. That is what we put down when we used to play Modern Warfare 2, the real Modern Warfare 2 back on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we put down, man.
Yes, we did.
Or PlayStation 3. Yeah, PlayStation 3. Dude, I can never remember. I'm so old at this point. Anyway, let's talk about it. Okay. So
let's dive in.
Twitter had a meltdown today. Not all of Twitter. A lot of Twitter. Yeah, he did. He also showed that he did have a Faygo grape soda in that photo, and that is the good stuff. I'm here to tell you right now. Debate a wall, because Faygo grape soda it's special to me. So the Browns signed Jameis Winston. I actually think this one kind of came out of nowhere, just because his name, it did surface last night, but like it was like close to this time last night. I had attended a funeral earlier in the day, and I was just kind of like, come on, do something, just kind of moping around, and then I get this like little bit of knowledge on Twitter that the Browns are one of the teams showing an interest in Jameis Winston. And for the memes and the memes only, I was stoked. I was like, oh shit, this is about to be awesome. And don't get me wrong, I like Jameis Winston. We're going to get into that in a second. But from that point, I was like, we're going to have so much fun. We're going to have so much fun because you're going to get a lot of Jameis in the preseason. Like you're going to get it. You're going to get a lot of him doing those weird warm-ups and workout videos in his backyard while he's getting shit thrown at him and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, I was like, but it comes out of nowhere. We get this Jameis Winston information. And then when today started, it kind of felt inevitable. Like there were some things that came out before he signed that it was like kind of trending that way. And I was like, this is going to happen. And, because Brissett goes with Alex Van Pelt, by the way, I think that's perfect for a guy like Drake May, because I think Drake May is going to be the guy, because I think Jaden Daniels goes too. To get Drake May in that system with Alex Van Pelt behind Jacoby Brissett, unless Drake May's ready. But either way, I think that's a fantastic situation for a young quarterback like that. But Brissett goes there. It felt like it was going to be Flacco until Winston's name came in. And Twitter had kind of a meltdown over Flacco not getting a contract and taking Winston over Flacco. It was just a weird day because we had all-out wars on the timeline over our backup quarterback. I will abstain. We've got a lot of comments about it too. I'm going to save all these up. So you guys, if you've got points about Jameis Winston, throw them in the comments on YouTube, throw them in the comments on Twitter. And after these two say their piece, we will get to those comments. So Casey, I'll start with you, man, because I know you got something to say. Talk about Jameis Winston.
My man JMO is a gold mine for content creators. This dude, he's electric, man. And like you said, all the pre-workout videos, all the things we're going to get leading up. But in training camp, he's going to speak to the media. This dude's super engaging. Jameis Winston's beloved in every locker room he's ever been in. You know what I mean? Like, it's former number 1 overall pick. The talent's there. People are mad because he's not Joe Flacco. He can do every single thing Joe Flacco can do, except he can be mobile. He can run sprint outs. He can run RPOs. He can do those things. And if we're to believe everything we've been told about this offseason by letting every offensive coach go, except for Chad O'Shea, and retooling this staff, what is it for? It's for offensive innovation. It's to take us to evolve. It's to take this thing another level. You can't do that if you're going to be rooted in just straight up play action, turn your back to the defense and rip. That's what Flacco is, and there's a need for that in the NFL. I'm not trying to seem sacrilegious because I love the ride that we were all on last year. It was amazing.
Yeah, I got a Flacco T-shirt downstairs. It
was amazing, man. We'll remember it fondly. But if this offense truly is going to evolve, it needs quarterbacks that can do more. Winston is that, man. Winston is that. And I'll say this too: he's exciting. He's not. Well, there's two different styles of backup quarterbacks. Sometimes you have backup quarterbacks who are just there to keep the ship afloat. Not Jameis Winston will rock the fucking boat. My dude will get out there and he'll let it go. Now that's volatile. Sometimes that'll be a pick. Sometimes that's going to be a massive play. You know what I mean? He's a guy there. He'll go out there and go for it. Wealth of experience. There's no downside to this. And his contract's reported, I think, at 8.7. That's up to 8.7. He has to meet incentives and snap counts and all kinds of things. We don't even know what the real number is. But I thought they were out when Brissett went for $8 million and they weren't in on that. I was like, okay, Josh Dobbs, like all roads lead back to Josh. That's where my mind was. You guys know me. So this one caught me off guard. I didn't expect him to be in it for Jameis. But I've said this to you before. Like, I'm a Jameis Winston fan. I don't know how in the hell he was not playing over Carr in New Orleans. No idea how that happened. But we're here now. I think you have if you're going to rank backups, you got a top 5 backup.
There's a lot to like about this, but there's this other elephant in the room too. If there's anything I've learned, it's that if you are a quarterback and you win in Cleveland, people are going to be attached to you like there is no other player in existence, because we are a quarterback starved city. We are, right? And so when Cleveland Browns fans see good quarterback play, they latch onto it and they are holding on for dear life. And I get it, right? We've all lived it here. But that's what Joe Flacco, that's what the reaction to Joe Flacco proved to me. But from just a longevity, from a future standpoint, looking ahead, Jameis Winston's still 30. He turns 31 this year. It feels like he's been in the league for literally forever. But in quarterback years, that's still relatively like, hey, you can still sling it, okay? So we just saw one of the most bizarre Brown seasons imaginable. So let's get crazy for a second. Let's say Jameis Winston has to play. Let's even say that he plays pretty well because every quarterback with an arm just plays well in Kevin Stefanski's system. if that happens, you have a path to longevity with Jameis Winston because he's young enough, because you just signed him, because you brought him in the building. You could build a future, whether it's as a backup or at, crazy town again, but considering the season we just came off of, or a starter, right? If things, I feel like with a 30-year-old quarterback compared to a 39-year-old quarterback, you have more options. You're at least giving yourself that crazy road to go down. Right. And you're still talking about a dude that passed for over 5,000 yards, that threw for 30 touchdowns. Yes, I know 30 interceptions. I get it. Right. But you saw a guy who is not afraid. There is nobody that plays with less fear than Jameis Winston. And I love that. So the upside of the move to me, pie in the sky, crazy brown stuff. Maybe we keep that magic a little bit. You never know. And so I get it with Flacco. I get it. But on the other side of it, if you're looking from a long-term standpoint, 30-year-old quarterback makes a lot more sense than 39-year-old quarterback. So I'm in.
Holy shit, this is cool as hell. I think that our Twitter account that we're live streaming from, if it gets a personal message, it puts it here in our chat for us to see. That's cool.
Nice. Hell yeah.
That's cool. Okay, let's talk. I want to do kind of a wrap up on what everybody else, all of our listeners have been saying about the Jameis Winston thing. Josh says, Flacco brought us one of our best memories since 99 in that Thursday Night Football, but dear God, does anyone realize he was on pace for 35 picks and 10 return for touchdowns? Yeah, well, it is what it is. Coworkers were throwing up the W at me today after the news break, still trying to process it, honestly. My dad did the same thing. My dad was still off work, and I sent him a text, and I think all I sent him was famous Jameis. Let me see if that's what I said. Yeah, I did. I said famous Jameis, and he said, no shit. Like, that was a conversation between this was funny. I thought Charlie Chuck's comment, no reason to make a big deal about quarterback. They signed a good backup quarterback. Who cares what fragile crybaby fans think? It's been fair. I think Sean has a valid point here. My problem with Winston is his on and off the field bullshit. He's immature, but I like his arm. I get it. I get that aspect of it. I do. I understand that. Kyle had a really interesting comment just saying, I don't think Flacco is getting signed at all. He'll do the same thing as last year and wait for a good opportunity. Hey, yeah. I like that. And Josh, another great comment here. Tyrod Taylor got almost $10 million a year. That's true. That's true. Christian, I'm with you here. Get Eric Armstead and Jerome Baker. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ross checking in, crab legs in the muting lot.
Hell yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh, God. I pray for a blowout victory versus Baltimore or Pittsburgh, and they can put Winston in to kneel the victory, and he goes rogue and puts another 6 on their asses. Oh, God, yeah. Highly doubt it's 8.7. Yeah, it's up to 8.7. Up to 8.7. And as our friend Jack Duffin says, don't worry about the number until the details come out. I mean, it's just like with Nyheim Hines, who we'll pivot to in just a second because I almost forgot to talk about Nyheim Hines. Just wait. If it's fully guaranteed at 8.7, I still don't think it's a bad deal, but then you can be a little upset about the number if you want to. But wait until you know what I mean? Like, wait until you know. What was I going to tell you guys? Oh,
I got one more thing to say about Winston before we go on.
By all means.
Last year, when quarterback Armageddon happened and we were waiting on the trade deadline and what they were going to do, I was pounding the table for Jameis Winston then. When it was like they can make a trade, it's like trade them. They're not going to play him. Get him here. And then when it didn't happen, my dream died, and it just was reignited today. So I'm super excited, man. I can't wait for the fucking preseason.
I'll tell you. Well, but let me build off that, Casey. Is there a backup quarterback in the league right now that you think has more upside than Jameis Winston?
That's more entertaining.
Well, that too.
That's more entertaining.
Like I'm thinking.
No.
More upside. I mean,
is there another backup quarterback in the league who's thrown for 5,000 yards in a single season?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No. He has the highest upside of all, but it's volatile. There is volatility there.
That's the thing. I get it that he threw for. He's so
Yeah, but he's playing for Bruce Arians, Huck it, Chuck it, Arians. He didn't give a shit.
33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. He threw for 5,109 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 30 picks that year.
Unbelievable.
Hold on a second. Looking at, I was just trying to look at I was trying to find his rushing stats because I know he doesn't do a ton of rushing. He's got 1,200 career rushing yards. He doesn't really rush for yardage, but he's a better athlete than Flacco.
Yes.
Like that's my thing. Is like he can do all those things Flacco does. I mean, he's got the arm. He's got the arm, but you know who he is? Yeah. He's got the arm that he's got the arm, but his mentality reminds me of Jay Cutler. I mean, Jay Cutler had one of the biggest arms I've ever seen, and boy did he know it, because Jay Cutler didn't see there was never a throw that he saw that he didn't like. He was like, I can make that. And of course he gets all that time with Brandon Marshall too, where he's such a big go up and get it wide receiver. I'm interested to see like the success that what would it look like with Amari Cooper and David Njoku catching passes from Winston? Because those are probably guys that, you know what I mean? Like those are probably guys that work well with the type of quarterback that Winston is. All I'm saying is if you're looking at a backup quarterback, I don't know that you get that much better. There's this thing, and I don't even want to talk about, there's this thing going on about people talking about they couldn't keep Flacco because of Watson's ego. And I think it's stupid. I don't give a shit. I think it's stupid. Is it possible? Yes. But I think it's stupid. I don't think it's time to go that way because I feel like Watson goes out there and is trash. I feel like they'll pull the plug. I do. And I'm probably wrong. I'm probably, building up Stefanski even more in my mind because I'm his biggest fan, except for Lysandra. I'm sorry that I said that. But I don't give a shit. Let's talk about Nyheim Hines. Dude, we are pushing it. Hey, we're not monetized on YouTube right now, so I can just keep saying fuck. Yeah. Casey? You want to get one out?
I would never say such a thing.
What? How dare you? You said it to me today.
I've said it 3 times since we've been on air.
I wasn't paying any fucking attention. Anyway,
I didn't even notice. Shit.
Because it's natural, dude. This is who I am. You guys see what I do to be on sports for CLE, for God's sakes, and not say it? That's crazy.
What's up, Connie?
Atta girl, Connie.
Thank you for coming, Connie.
Atta girl. Wait, hold on. What is this? What do you got for me, Sean? Fuck shit ass Boondock Saints is the go. I do. I love Boondock Saints. Boondock Saints is great. Okay, Nyheim Hines, and then we'll kind of talk about some of our wish lists moving forward.
All right.
I like it, man. Like you're talking about a dude that has a freak jet ski accident that tears his ACL. I forgot that's how he tore his ACL until they signed him, and I was like, oh God, I remember now. But you're talking about a really good, athletic, fast. He's a great returner, and he returns kicks and punts. So exactly. I think that is very important because Casey, we were without Nick last week, and you and I had this conversation. Or no, I'm sorry. This was the conversation we had after they traded for Jerry Jeudy, because you're like, well, now if you add another wide receiver, you kind of need a wide receiver that can return. Like if you're going to add another guy, you need a returner. Where's your returner?
They got to do something.
You just took care of that on the
bump on a log. Like if you're lower than the third receiver, you got to contribute in special teams. Whatever. Right. Return, gunner. Same thing with running back, man. If you're the third string running back, I'm going to need you to have special teams value. Nyheim Hines, that plus 10. Like he has great special teams value.
they did it very, very early last year, and I know they just let one of the guys walk, but they got Mike Ford and Matthew Adams very early in free agency last year because they were special teamers. Because they played special teams, they had some experience. Bubba Ventrone, well, they just did that again. Now, I like Nyheim Hines as a pass catcher. Hasn't done anything a ton in the last 2 years, and obviously this past year he was hurt, but he's, I think, a really good safety valve option as a receiver. He's been with Ken Dorsey before. He's been with Bubba Ventrone before. There's that comfort in an offense with Ken Dorsey coming in, and there being some changes and bringing some of his guys in too. And I think you satisfied multiple needs. You satisfied special teams and depth at running back. I don't want him to. Ford and Chubb are still way ahead of him in my mind. They are. That's the way I look at it. But I think he's a nice safety valve and a really good returner, and you can't neglect special teams. They showed you couldn't neglect. They finally didn't neglect special teams last year. You saw what happened. It was a difference. There was a difference maker. There was several games where special teams played a key part when the team was playing great defense, playing field position, and winning by 2 points. Like, that was a huge thing. And they did that again. So still need to figure out some stuff. Still got to figure out some things with running. I'd still like another running back, but I still think for what it is, I think it was a good signing.
Like, if you told me that Nick Chubb was going to be Nick Chubb, I would think Nyheim Hines is probably one of the best value compliments you could get, right? Because that guy's going to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's going to make things happen when the ball is in his hands. He's not gonna be that dude that's running between the tackles, right? And so I think if you figure out who is going to tote the rock, I'm hoping, no disrespect, I'm hoping that the Browns have an additional option aside from Jerome Ford. But if you can figure out who's running the ball between the tackles, I think Nyheim Hines is a great asset to have on your team. And it was funny to me. I was thinking about our Jerry Jeudy episode, like you mentioned, and we were talking about, well, you're going to need somebody to return kicks, right? And it's like you're accomplishing multiple goals with one player. You're doing it on a cheap deal on a guy that had a jet ski accident and tore his ACL, right? But I don't have the same reservations about coming back from that injury anymore. We see guys come back from torn ACLs and be just fine. And Nyheim Hines did it.
He's 27. Mm-hmm. He's 27. I think that's important when you talk about that.
Right. And he did it before the season. So you've had the full recovery cycle. So I like it. I'm excited. I think it's a dynamic that the Browns have been looking for. And maybe Hines is finally that guy that's going to be able to give it to him, because I feel like they were robbed of it with Jakeem Grant. And they tried it with Elijah Moore. Maybe Nyheim Hines is that guy that's going to give it to you. Certainly could.
Also, he refers to himself as Nightmare with a Y on Twitter today, and now he's my favorite player.
Damn, that was quick.
It did not take much.
I like the flexibility it gives you, man. They've been searching for this. We've been having to platoon just a punt returner or a kick returner that really doesn't do much else. You know what I mean? And I know we were spoiled with Cribs for years, where he's your returner and your gunner, and you can live with that if they're not contributing much on offense. But Hines gives you a great third down back option. He's excellent in the return game. The familiarity with Dorsey and Ventrone, like this, they obviously co-signed for the guy and his work ethic and what he brings to the meeting rooms, and or he wouldn't be in this position. But your original point of, I do think there needs to be another move made in the running back room. The uncertainty around Nick Chubb, it is what it is, man. Like, well, he may never be what Nick Chubb was. That's on the table. That's more likely than not. He was such a great player. Even if he can get back to 90% what he was, he's still better than 90% of the league. But you have to have an insurance policy. You can't go into the season, say Chubb's going to be on the PUP for the first 4 weeks. You can't go into the season with just Jerome Ford and Hines and even Strong. They need to add a veteran presence. That's the reason I was super pissed when the Bengals signed Zach Moss, because that was my That was my North Star right there. That was my white whale for the offseason. So they got him. So they got to pivot now. They got to figure something out. And I don't think they'll get that guy in the draft. I don't think you're going to draft a rookie who you're going to depend on the first 4 weeks of the season. I just don't think that's likely. If it was an addition to thing, yeah, but I think you need to get someone on the roster who can handle a workload, even if it's, like I said, for a month. But you got to find that person.
Okay. We've hit what's happened. They added a depth tackle as well, which is fine. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear they're exploring some other options over James Hudson, I think.
Well, let me ask you, though. Do you think it'll kick Hudson inside, or you think they'll just cut him all outright?
I think they would try him inside before they cut him outright. That's just what I think. It just feels like they would one point really liked, and they really liked James Hudson, obviously, because they drafted him. They've held on to him. They thought because he, coming out, James Hudson had only played like 10 games as a tackle. He was a defensive tackle at Michigan to start his career. And so, I think they don't like to give up on investments until they have to. So I think they would definitely try to kick him inside first, which is fine. Because I think he's a good run blocker. He can't pass block worth of shit, but he's a good run blocker. And you can kind of hide some of those pass blocking issues that he has, the ability, because he doesn't have the ability to anchor. You can hide some of that stuff with help from the center, and on the inside and having the tackles and just not having one side of you being completely on you because there's no one out there. You can hide it a little bit better on the inside. So I definitely think they'll at least try it. Okay. One thing, we'll wrap this up. One thing you would like to see for the rest of free agency, we'll start with you, Nick. A player or a position or a trade, whatever. Just one thing you would like to happen as we continue through the free agency period.
I think the only thing it's really weird to be in this luxurious spot where you're looking at the Browns roster and you're saying, well, I don't really feel like there's a massive position weakness that I can identify. Personally, though, I think I just go right back to what I said. The only thing I was legitimately upset about was when Zach Moss went to Cincinnati. I really just wanted somebody that's going to run the ball between the tackles because there's just a lot of questions with the Nick Chubb piece. And so I'm not sure where that's at. And I feel like covering your bases is smart. I would like Jerome Ford to be that guy, but I didn't see enough of that bruising back that we've just been so spoiled with Nick Chubb. And I would like them, even if it's like Deontay Foreman, right? Somebody that is going to go there and hit people and just make his presence felt. I want one of those dudes in the running back room until Nick Chubb's back.
I like Deontay Foreman. Casey, what you got?
I'd take Foreman. I'd take AJ Dillon. But I think that's the move. I think that's the move they got to do. I need to see some resolution in this tight end room, man. Okay. David Njoku and some question marks right now. Bryant's a free agent. I won't be surprised if he goes to New England. Akins didn't give you anything last year. They need, and I expect something to happen during the draft in that regard, but I think you need to go get another veteran. I think that needs to happen. We've said it 1,000 times. We said it more than it's even true that Kevin Stefanski loves his tight ends. Yeah. Dorsey loves his tight ends as well. Dorsey runs a shit ton of 12.
And they brought Tommy Reese in.
Mm-hmm. So you got to go get another guy. I don't know where it comes from. I have my eye on a guy in the draft. Me and Jacob have discussed before, but they got to make a move. That's the one question mark, man. You got Njoku up front, but what do you have behind Njoku?
For me, I need a third safety. I have some question marks back there at safety. Yes.
Would you be happy with McLeod if McLeod re-signed? Would that fill that Would that scratch that itch for you?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. And I've heard he's interested in returning. I also was just told that they've been fielding calls on Greg Newsome. Anyway.
I know something you could do with that extra 3rd round pick.
What?
6'1", 230 pounds out of Texas A&M.
You're really lobbying for Edgerrin Cooper right now?
God, dude, I will. The cupcakes I was going to shit if we got Zach Moss, transfer that over. Edgerrin Cooper, I'll do a cartwheel live on air, whatever needs to happen.
Edgerrin Cooper is his Alex Wright. To anybody that's followed us long enough to understand that.
Watch the tape.
That reference.
You don't have to have your pants on. Watch the tape.
Oh,
it's so good. It's so fun. He's such a fun dude.
I want to ask one last question. There has been more rumor about potentially trying to trade for DeForest Buckner. Thoughts?
It's weird because they've added. I mean, they paid Grover Stewart, which good for Grover Stewart, man. Like, good for you. They signed somebody else today, didn't they? I thought they signed a second defensive tackle. And, of course, Grover Stewart is just a re-sign. He was already theirs from last year. But they paid him, and I thought they signed somebody else. So there was these rumors now about DeForest Buckner. Yeah.
Okay. Can you
Andrew
imagine?
Berry, I trust Andrew Berry when it comes to trades. So I don't think he would overpay in any way, shape, or form. I trust him when it comes to managing the salary cap, so I don't even question that shit anymore. I'm just like, is it available? He'll figure it out. Yeah, man. If DeForest Buckner, if he's available, yeah, make the move, figure it out.
Because I mean, at that point, then you've got Delvin DeForest, then you've got Shelby and Mo Hurst as your 2 backup tackles, and Siaki Ika. I don't know if they would go 5 defensive tackles. I guess in that scenario, I would assume they would, which, I mean, that seems like a good problem to have.
I mean, I'm horny now. Like, it's porn what you're talking about.
We're starting off with a spicy Barking Brown show.
You're the one talking about porn. I didn't bring
fair.
porn into this conversation.
Hey, I just want to say that we have had so many more comments than I thought we were going to get in our first show on the new platform. So from the 3 of us, we appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who has taken the time. We are building this back up. We're not building it back up. We are building it way up. And I think I speak for the 3 of us when I say we're really excited about it. And so thank you to everybody for being here. If you could like and subscribe the video, help us get off the roaring here. You have already had all the help. We so appreciate it.
Mock draft Friday morning with the OBRs. Andrew Spade will do a dueling mock draft
Legend.
Here on the channel and on all audio platforms. Thank you guys so much. The most valuable thing you can give somebody is some of your time. Subscribe, follow us on Twitter, all that other shit. And until next time, go Browns.
With that said, this has been an episode of the Barking Brown Show. And Nick, he's Jacob. He's Casey. Go Browns.
You feeling lucky, punk? Huh? Are you?